Welcome to the Badass American Heroes podcast. Coming at you now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Badass American Heroes podcast. I am, as always, your host, Brandon. If you sense frustration in my voice, it's because this is the third time I've hit record on this episode. And we'll see if it works this time. I've got two awesome people across the table for me tonight. I've got with me Mr. Dan Cox. Dan, say hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Y tú? Muy bien.
Ah, sí, amigo.
He's definitely from Utah.
And I've got that beautiful voice is my good friend Ashley Lauren. This is going to be a wild show. We're drinking. I made tacos for dinner tonight, and then I decided, hey, let's break out the podcast stuff and let's get wild. And my pants are off. My dick is out. This is the way it should always be.
Might I add that it might be out, but it's not visible.
Well, everybody knows that I have a very small penis. Very small. So Dan is a former Marine, and Ashley is...
Whoa.
God,
Wait one.
Oh, boy. The seaman wants to talk.
Is out.
The seaman wants to talk.
No, seaman escort me.
Ah, okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
Yes. No such thing as former Marine.
So what would you describe yourself as? A Marine that's just being lazy and not doing anything?
That might be fairly accurate. I mean, we're at a point in life where once you get out that you still have the title Marine, but fat, lazy, old, decrepit.
Grandpa. So I just want to let you guys know that we've doubled our time that we've made it the previous two times we tried this. So I think I'm proud of us. I think we're going to be able to record like a legit podcast tonight.
Do it.
And Ashley is prior Army. You were a combat medic in the Army. You deployed in, 07 during the surge? And Dan, when were you over?
Well, I was over in Iraq in 2003 in the initial invasion.
Okay, because you're old. Hella old.
Yes, I am old. I mean,
you need to talk into the microphone.
I keep getting letters in the mail from Social Security and from AARP. So
AARP.
Yeah.
You know who else gets letters from AARP? My father.
Oh, my parents do too.
Not to say that I could be your father, but
He could be.
Is your mom single?
No, because I have a father. That's how that. Jesus Christ. So we're just gonna sit back. We're gonna have a couple drinks. I'm drinking White Claws, so I'm gonna
pretty
get
sure
white
we're
girl
all
wasted.
already a couple drinks in. So.
We're more than a couple drinks in. We are so far in that dinner has been put away already, and we're still
Brandon
drinking.
made some bomb-ass tacos for dinner, so if he ever invites you to dinner, just say yes.
Just say yes. No matter what I invite you to, just say yes.
Definitely say yes. I mean, granted, they're not pink tacos. They were more on the brown side, but still 10 out of 10.
I like my tacos a little brown.
They were good tacos.
Wait, what? So let's start with you, Dan. Dan, kind of run us through your life. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up? What was your life like growing up? And then what convinced you to throw your life away and become a United States Marine?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, starting off, I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. Grew up there, spent my life there. My father was in the United States Army during Vietnam, and then he spent 40 years as a Salt Lake County Sheriff. Mom was a homemaker. Had a pretty good life growing up. During high school, got introduced to some recruiters that came to our school asking for some PT studs, doing pull-ups, push-ups. Of course, I myself...
Physical specimen, I'm sure.
Absolutely at that time. I mean, Max, excuse us, technical difficulties. We have the podcast mascot freaking out in the background. Anyway, that intrigued me. At that time, I wanted to join, had every intention to join, but decided to put it off for about 5 years. I ended up going out into the workforce, and then one day, call it divine intervention, but had an epiphany, woke up in the morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning, ended up down at recruiting station, and joined the Marine Corps. At that time, might I add you, that sitting there with recruiters and what so happened to be on the TV?
9/11.
9/11.
Okay. So your dad was in the Army during Vietnam. What made you decide to not go Army, and what made you decide to go Marine Corps over following your dad's footsteps being in the Army?
Well, I mean, my dad was, like I said, Army. My grandfather was a colonel in the Army as well.
You really got to talk into that big dick that's right in front of your face, yeah. Nope, don't put it in your mouth. Nope.
Oh, shit, sorry. Bad habits. Blame that on the Navy. Anyway, so my dad was in the Army, like I said. Grandfather was in the Army as well. He retired colonel, served in World War II and in Korea. Honestly, my choice to go from as a kid wanting to be in the Army to going to the Marine Corps was honestly two things.
The uniform?
Our badass uniform and our mantra of first to fight.
Which is funny because that was my battalion's motto when I was in the Army.
They stole it from the Marine Corps.
I'm sure they did. I was in 2-3 infantry, and our battalion motto was first to fight. So every time we formed up as a battalion, first to fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a battalion. I mean, that may be the first to fight for the Army, but first fight for the 9/11 force, which is directed by the President of the United States. Our commander.
Are we going to do this right now?
Would be the
That's
United
so
States
weird.
Marine Corps.
Man, it's weird. Hey, Doc, do you remember any Marines on the D-Day invasion into Normandy?
Absolutely fucking not.
That's so weird.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who? I could be incorrect here, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But the whole Army's plan for D-Day was derived.
Largest amphibious assault in military history,
as he interrupted,
and not a single Marine. I'm the host. I get to interrupt whoever I want. It's my show.
That's very true.
And that's just weird. Anyway, continue your story.
My train of thought has left the building at the moment, so...
Probably because you're old. Whatever.
What?
Nothing. So you join the Marine Corps as 9/11 is essentially unfolding on screen in front of your face. What was going through your head at that point? You obviously know, I'm joining the Marine Corps. I'm joining a combat MOS. I'm watching this happen on TV in front of me. I know I'm going to deploy at some point, probably sooner rather than later, and I'm going to go fuck shit up. What are you thinking? And before you answer that, at this point, pretty fresh out of high school, right? Relatively. Single, not married, no kids, nothing. You're just
correct.
a single dude batching it,
Yep.
living your best life. This should be the time when you're out just slaying pussy, getting drunk. And
that was happening.
Yeah.
It definitely was happening. But
and then you decide to join the Marine Corps. So what's going through your head when you're watching this and you're signing your life away on the dotted line, man?
honestly, I mean, for one, absolute disgust for what was happening in our country at that time. For the people that had attacked us. But my thought process at that time was immediately exacting revenge for that action.
Yeah.
And never in my life had I been more absolute 100% know that I had made the right decision.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm quite a few years younger than you. I was in 7th grade when 9/11 happened. And I remember watching it on the TV. And I walked to the recruiter's office after school and tried to lie about how old I was. And the recruiter's like, nah, dude, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, no, come on, man. Like, I can do this shit. No.
Dude, it was definitely 8th grade. I was in 8th grade English.
I was a year behind you. You guys can't hear because she's not talking into a microphone.
So Ashley said that she was in 8th grade English.
That's when it happened.
Okay, I was in 7th grade. So, whatever. It's whatever, Doc. She's going to do some math. We are the same age. Yes, I know that. I know when our birthdays are. But I was a year behind you, which is why you deployed a year before I did. Oh,
Wait a
boy.
minute. Are we Brandon, were you held back in school?
What? Do I look like the... Yeah, I was held back. Do I look like the kind of guy who was held back?
No.
You're blind. So you joined the Marine Corps. You're ready to go out, fuck up the enemies of the United States. What's the process like for you? How soon is it after you sign, before you leave for basic training and boot camp and all of that?
I left fairly quickly, like right away. And then ended up going for Operation Enduring Freedom at that, about 3 months after I finished my infantry school, and then acted as QRF for a few months, and then we were taken as part of RCT-1 to head to Kuwait in Camp Coyote to stage for the invasion, and that was in January of '02. So 5 months after 9/11.
Wow, that's fast. There's a couple things that our government does fast.
Or, I guess excuse me, that was January '03. So
Okay.
a year and 5 months after.
So that's still pretty quick. There's a couple things our government does fast. It's declare war on people and go fuck them up and raise taxes.
Agreed.
Yeah, accurate. So you go to Kuwait. You're over there. You're prepping to roll across the border from Kuwait into Iraq. What's going through your mind at this point? How old are you when you're sitting in Kuwait getting ready to go invade another country?
I was 25 years old when that
25 years old. Young, dumb, full of cum, Marine. You're ready to go fuck shit up, but you're like legit.
Well, I don't know if I was full of cum because
there were quite a few Navy guys over there.
Right before we left, there was some escapades.
Yeah, well, and you were surrounded by Navy dudes on the way over there. It's whatever.
Happens.
It happens.
It's not gay if it's in the field.
Exactly. It's even less gay if it's during combat. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you're getting ready to invade a foreign country on behalf of the United States government. It's not a small thing. And as a 25-year-old guy, what's going through your mind? Are you excited? Are you scared? Are you nervous? Kind of a mixture of everything.
Honestly, I was as excited, if I would put it on par of the excitement level of having your first child.
Yeah.
Terrified, excited, elated. Just knowing that we're ready, though. It was a feeling that I still hold dear to my heart to this day.
So, I had done another series of episodes with a Marine, Gunny Christian Bustler. He was a mortuary affairs specialist, and he was over there in Kuwait and rolled across in the initial invasion into Iraq, and I remember hearing him talk about it. I'm curious for you to kind of compare your experiences to his. Are you guys in like deuce and a halves? Are you guys in like armored Humvees? What are you guys rolling across the border into?
All right, so going across the border. So the Marine Corps has what we call at the time 7 tons. We had just implemented these trucks. They're very similar to the Army's 5 tons. So they're essentially semi-trucks, mid-level semi-trucks that are flatbed. No armor. Our armor was our packs hanging off the side of the rails of the truck, sitting on sandbags, just chomping at the bit, ready to roll across the border.
Do you guys have any kind of crew-served weapons on those or anything like that? Or are you guys just rocking M16s and iron sights?
Yeah. M16A2s.
Oh,
iron sight.
Old school.
Yeah. And then up on the front of the truck, we did have one of our we had put a saw gun up on top of the truck in our turret, which... he
hates me too. So for those of you that don't know what Dan's talking about, the M249 is SAW squad automatic weapon, is a belt-fed, air-cooled machine gun, fires 5.56 millimeter rounds. It's usually carried by one guy who carries, like a little drum underneath it, clips in. You load it, boom, 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 and it's really not what you want on top of a vehicle. It's more what your infantry squad uses while they're dismounted. Usually, your vehicle would have like an M250 caliber Browning machine gun or a Mark 19 fully automatic grenade launcher, something along those lines. So having a saw up there.
Well, I mean, the saw is definitely. I mean, it was developed as a suppressive fire weapon. I mean, it was to support the fire, direct fire, and yeah. All right. So as Brandon was saying, yeah, the 249 saw is essentially not meant for a crew-served weapon or a vehicle-mounted weapon. And wait, I think we need to do shots. Is that what we're?
Oh, are we doing shots?
We're doing shots. Sorry, shots. So Ashley brought out the Jameson.
Cheers.
We are doing shots.
Oh boy,
baby, doesn't that feel good?
Oh, it's a lot of alcohol.
All right, so as we were,
So okay, you're in pretty much 5-ton trucks, saws, no armor, open backs, crossing the border from Kuwait into Iraq, doing an invasion.
yes.
And you guys are pumped. You're ready to go. How's it look? Do you guys cross over at night? Do you cross over in the
honestly,
morning?
it doesn't. It looks really bleak because it's in the dark and we are MVGs and you can't see shit.
Yeah. So you guys cross over. Where are you going?
Well, I mean, ultimate goal is set forth by our commander at that time, which was Jim Mattis.
Oh,
Mad Dog. Baghdad was our goal.
Yeah. I'd fuck that dude too.
Oh, it's good.
Oh wow, it sounds like there's a story we're gonna get to later. So ultimate goal is Baghdad. What's your guys' journey like once you cross over the border? Are you guys worried about biochemical? Are you guys worried?
Oh,
about...
absolutely. So we crossed the border already in MOP 1. I mean,
yeah, okay.
We were there. I mean, it was taken down, honestly. At first, we were told to be in MOP 4, have our suits on, mask on, but they dropped the masks. We kept our suits on. So we spent the first, 3 weeks in full suit.
Oof.
And, I mean, it's January, but it's still
hot.
pushing. No, so we dropped the mask, but we kept our suits on, though.
Okay.
So definitely heavy and sweaty as balls. I mean,
so
the stank that came out of the back of our truck. Woo!
Again, for people that don't know, MOP gear stands for Mission Oriented Protective Posture. It is the standard issue biochemical suit. It consists of rubber boots, rubber gloves, a charcoal lined camo suit, and then a gas mask. That is your MOP gear. MOP gear level 4 is everything. Boots, gloves, suit, mask, the whole nine. So you guys said you dropped down to just the suits.
Just the suits. So, I mean, honestly, it's MOP 4 minus the gas.
Yeah.
Mask,
so you're
mask.
still wearing rubber boots, rubber gloves.
Yeah, at the first, yep.
Just prep, ready to throw that mask on if anybody
It
says
was.
there's
I mean,
gas coming in.
Even when we were at our staging area in Kuwait, I mean, God, dozen times a day, we would get the gas order.
Yeah.
I mean, and not just practice. I mean, there were direct threats, suspected threats of Scud missiles coming across the border.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, a dozen times a day, we'd get gas. And shit you not, we'd be out doing PT, drop our shit, be into our masks, ready to roll.
Good times.
And then continue PT.
Yeah. Fun. So while you guys, excuse me, are pushing through, you guys start taking any fire? Do you guys have any indirect fire come across? Do you guys have any direct contact with any kind of enemy combatants while you're pushing through across the border or anything like that?
Initially, no. I mean, the order came out that we suspected that there would be adversaries across the border. The night before fortunately, the Navy and the Air Force combined essentially quelled those threats and
by dropping a boatload of bombs.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yes. I mean, Navy guns were going nonstop. You got artillery going nonstop with RASPs. Air Force coming in, just dropping. I mean, B-52s dropping hellfire from the freaking skies.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for the first day and a half rolling through, nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Other than waving civilians, Iraqi civilians loving us,
Yeah.
praising us.
What happened after the first day and a half?
Well, that's when RCT-1 and other parts of other RCTs encountered An-Nazariya.
Okay. Now, I'm not a Marine. What's an RCT?
So it's Regimental Combat Team.
Okay.
It was combined, not just Marines. We also had Army combined in there. We had Navy combined in there, and then Air from the Air Force and from the Navy and the Marine Corps.
Okay. So you guys it starts to become real.
It does. It does. I mean, An-Nazariya at that time, first unit rolling through, got lit up pretty good. Lost a bunch of Marines. Amtrak's down off the side of the road, blown to shit.
Are you guys taking a lot of direct contact, or is it mostly IEDs?
At that time, it was direct contact. So this was all pre-IED. IEDs didn't come into effect till late 2004.
Okay.
Early on, it was all they had no idea what they were doing. We had Republican Guard that were stripping off their uniforms and putting on their civilian attire and attacking. You had Ba'ath Party members doing the same thing. I mean, they're dressed as everyday individuals, hiding their AKs, and then as you roll by, they do pop shots. And I mean, at that time, not any major ambushes until, like I said, An-Nazariya, where they had, they had tanks, T-72s, buried in the ground with cover over top of them that you could not see them from, any aerial reconnaissance, and then they would have mortar teams scattered throughout. It was a different experience than what some later on with the IEDs. I mean, obviously IEDs is a complete unknown. I mean, as is an ambush, but
this is more of a somewhat traditional force-on-force type combat situation.
It is. I mean, granted, they had it was more urban guerrilla warfare, as you would, because we're in their hood. They know where to go. They know where to hide.
Yeah.
But then they would still, confront you. So
the first time you take contact, you personally, what's going through your head? The first time you start hearing gunshots pop off and you're like, oh, fuck. Those are meant for me. What's going through your head?
I might be weird, but the first thing that went through my head is, oh, fuck, it's on.
Yeah.
And
it gets a little hard.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I had a 2-week-long boner.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck those guys with the blue pill.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 hours. Yeah, try combat. That's a week at most, or at least.
So you're pumped. Now, what happens the first time you lose a guy? How does that affect you as a human being, as a Marine that's in a combat zone, and you're actively engaged fighting against a enemy force, and you see a brother go down? How do you quantify that?
At first it's difficult to interpret yourself. I mean, going through that. I mean, you've got what they call, obviously, the fog of war, adrenaline rush, everything's going on, and when that happens, at the time you do not have the time to actually process it.
No.
You're on mission. You continue mission.
Yeah.
But shortly after, it does hit. And
once the gunfire stops.
and it is rough. It is a tough go, especially when it's our first casualty is one of the very first of the conflict.
Yeah.
And he was one of our platoon commanders. It's not something that I wish on anybody.
Yeah.
Having to go through that.
Yep. Excuse me again. So you guys are pushing through, and ultimate goal is to get to Baghdad. That's your ultimate objective. Kind of walk us through that initial push, man. Just a brief overview of what it looks like from the time that you crossed over the Iraqi border to the time that you kind of get where you're going. Where did you guys end up? Did you end up pushing all the way through to Baghdad? Did you kind of stop short and then get relieved? Or
yeah, absolutely. So, one being that this was the first off most unprecedented and quickest invasion in the history of the world.
Yeah.
From our demarcation point to our end from our demarcation point to our end point, it was the quickest travel and quickest overtake of any nation ever in the history of the world, as I said. Along the way, definitely major, engagements. We had one in outside of Basra where we had one of our artillery commanders pinned down with his forward observer, and we had to do a hasty assault. A hasty assault in unarmored vehicles, which hasn't been done since World War II.
Good times.
Absolutely good times.
Yeah.
Planned hasty assault. That absolutely is something for the record books there. But ultimately traveling through, we ended up in Sadr City, which is a suburb of Baghdad.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it was actually named Saddam City for Saddam. Yeah. They have since changed it, obviously. But that date was April 8th, 2003. We ended up getting in contact after a brief exploit with my fire team and our XO, where we went and did a recon to plan our route. And let's just say that it was an interesting event. We were out in the streets about 2 clicks from our main element. Business as usual in any suburb of Baghdad, and then all of a sudden the streets went vacant.
And anybody that has been overseas in combat to Iraq or Afghanistan knows that is warning sign number 1 that shit is about to get lit, as the youth say. When people start bailing off the street in the middle of the day, you better buckle in, grab your ball sack, and get ready for some fun, because that's not normal. Like, picture New York City at noon, and then just picture everybody downtown disappearing off the street.
Absolutely. You could not have said it better.
Fucking horrible.
Yep, absolutely. So, as I said, we were a couple clicks away. I saw the street started emptying. Had to pull my XO's face out of the map.
Of course,
and
officer.
Sir, we need to get back. So we ended up fire team and the XO double timing it back in full kit, all the way back to our element. By the time we got back, streets were absolutely clear, gone. Hunched over, grasping for air, peek up, first sight, RPG coming right for our main element. Hit the ground about 15, 20 feet in front of me, skipped up, smacked the building right behind us, and then all hell broke loose. We ended up being in contact it's a little fuzzy. Granted, it was a few years ago, but at least 12 hours we were in direct contact.
Damn.
Triangulated by multiple enemy, cut off from our supply routes, running low on ammo, running out of ammo, out of water. At the time, our mission was to take and hold the Ministry of Defense, which was on the southern tip of Baghdad.
And this is before the time in Iraq when we had QRF forces, a quick reaction force that could come out that was
We were the quick
15,
reaction
20
force.
minutes away. This was before the time when air was on station to come out and lay hate and save you guys. You're on your own.
We are absolutely on our own. It was before, like I said, I mean, we were ahead of our supply chain. We were ahead of everything. We were online with one other group, one other RCT that was on the western bank on the other side of the Tigris, and that was it. 1,000 U.S. military surrounded by an unknown amount of enemy.
Yeah.
I mean, being triangulated, being nothing but hate and discontent coming our way.
Yeah.
Towards the evening, we're able to get support by fire, artillery, and air coming in. But it was a long time. I mean, that numerous hours that we were there, it felt like days.
Yeah. And there's sometimes in combat where that's all you can do is just sit there and hold and wait. What's going through your mind while this is going on? You're still a young dude. You're pretty green.
I mean, I'm young, yes, absolutely. I mean, but relatively young, I guess. At the time, 25 years old. I was a little older than a lot of the other guys. I mean, most of the other guys, 18, 19 years old. Myself was at that time just concentrating on keeping my brothers and myself alive.
Yeah. Was there ever a time you thought, like, even just a little bit in the back of your head, like, well, this is it for Dan Cox?
I actually had that before I even left.
Yeah.
I sold everything I owned. I was content with myself and pretty much made peace with myself, saying that if I don't come back, hey, everything's going to be fine. But during those times that an interesting thing happened to me myself is that, as rounds coming down, skipping right next to you, rocket-propelled grenades blowing up right next to you. At that time, I believe something else was, or somebody else was watching out for me and watching out for my brothers.
So you guys get some support by fire. You get some air coming in. What's after that?
After that, it died down. As far as the engagement goes, we ended up completing our mission at the time, which was taking the Ministry of Defense, held that, and then moved on to the next mission.
So how long total were you over there on this first deployment in early 2003?
So early 2003, as we were the first initial attacking force, it was a little different than what later on deployments had. Is that our first deployment was around 7 months.
Okay.
After that, they changed it to, as everybody knows, between a year or a year and a half rotations.
Yeah. So, we're going to skip around quite a bit. Is there anything else from that first deployment you want to talk about? Anything else big that pops up?
Just that was a development for me where I found, love for my brothers. Excuse me,
Are
Ashley.
you on your fucking phone over there? Jesus
sorry, Ashley is over
Christ.
here on the phone.
Are we
and,
interrupting
as
you?
I'm trying to be solemn and prayerful
He's
and everything,
crying
and I'm over here
and you're laughing
shedding
at him.
tears.
Wow.
And someone is laughing in the background.
Wow. Fucking medics.
God damn.
I'm sorry, brother.
No,
Continue.
that's.
Do you need?
I need a tissue. I need a tissue. No, so I was saying that that's where, our brotherhood was solidified.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go through boot camp, you can go through, your tour, you can go through numerous deployments, but once you get engaged and in conflict and in combat, that's when that brotherhood or sisterhood, mind you.
Do you have food over there? You fucking bitch.
What the hell? It becomes a point in your life where, thank you, that you realize that those people standing next to you, your brothers and your sisters, become closer than your actual blood.
True that. Absolutely true that. So you're over there for 7 months. You redeploy. You come back. What's that process like for you? You just invaded a foreign country. You went toe-to-toe with a motivated, trained combat force that wanted to kill you, and now you're coming back to the United States. And you're expected to let it all go and go back to normal. Did you?
No. I drank a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Go figure. What was that process like coming back for you? And coming back, did you say to yourself, okay, this is it. I'm one and done. I'm getting out of the Marine Corps. Did you say, hey, I'm going to stay. This is life. What was your mindset like before you even got back to the States?
Well, honestly, at that time, I mean, no one knew that the war would drag on that long.
Yeah.
Honestly, they thought, hey, we took it over. It's in the process. We're helping Iraq build a new government. So for me, it's like, hey, mission accomplished. Boom, we're good. Obviously, it didn't happen that way.
Hey, Doc, can you grab me another White Claw out of the fridge? You're the best.
Oh,
I don't care.
Brandon's going white girl. Hold on.
Look, I'm going to pop this open right in the mic so you can all hear how crisp it is.
Oh, it's so cold.
Oh, it feels so good. Okay, continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I mean, at that time, like I said, it felt like, the mission was to overtake Baghdad and to, capture Saddam. I mean, that happened 2 months after I returned.
Yeah.
They found Saddam in a trench, in a hole, middle of nowhere, hiding out, crying like a little girl.
Yep. With a boatload of cash.
Let's talk about that cash.
Where is that cash?
Pallets and pallets and pallets of American monetary dollars.
Dirty.
Just absolutely scattered throughout multiple locations.
Just disgusting amounts of cash.
Absolutely it was.
So
yet we never took any. Now granted, we did raid his private liquor stash though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Oh boy. Oh, sorry. I got turned on for a minute. So, you come back to the States. You think, hey, mission accomplished. We went over there. We did what we're going to do. Now we're done. Are you thinking, I'm one and done? I'm out of the Marine Corps now?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we went on rotation. We went through just our standard training rotation from there. And, it was just business as usual.
Yeah. I swear to God, if you don't talk into the mic, I'm going to rip my dick out of my silkies and put it in your mouth instead. There we go.
Oh, okay.
That's better. I know you want to look at me.
I just want to look at Brandon. I mean, he's so sexy, and that beard just drives me goddamn nuts.
We can adjust the mic so that it's pointed at
me. We really can't, though.
Probably shouldn't.
No, we really can't. Because if we do, then it'll fuck up for our next guest.
Yeah, it will.
So what I will do is I will just make sweet love to this microphone.
You have a face and a voice for radio.
Oh,
have
baby.
You ever been told that?
The face part, yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you come back, you go back right into training, do another training rotation. Where's your mind at? Are you thinking about the future? Are you just enjoying the Marine Corps for what it is? It's a young man's game. You're probably, 26 right now, slaying pussy, in your dress blues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's standard procedure right there, absolutely. Yeah, at the time, again, we still thought it would be a short action. At the time, it was essentially turned into a police action where we were providing security for the new government.
Yeah.
Mind you, Afghanistan at the time was still going pretty strong, yet that wasn't our mission.
Yeah.
Directly. So, my mindset was, hey, we got Saddam. We're on our standard training. I'll obviously go where they want me to go. And at that time, we never got called back to Iraq. At least my unit never did.
Okay. So where do you go after this deployment's over, after this rotation of training is over? Did you end up staying in, or is that when you decided to split ways with the Marine Corps? Did you do another combat deployment?
I mean, I ended up splitting ways after a while, and it was, for one, body gave out.
Yeah.
I mean, you stated it correctly, is it's a young man's game. I mean, my body aged very quickly.
Yeah.
And I mean, between the body and the mind, it wasn't there.
So, I think this is the important part of everybody's story, because we had this conversation earlier. We've lost a lot of buddies to suicide after they've gotten out. As you were making the decision to transition out of the Marine Corps, did you already have a plan in place? Did you think about it? I mean, obviously you didn't, because you're a Marine. I didn't either.
Shots.
I didn't either, and I was in the Army. But did you have a plan? Did you put any kind of thought into it? What's the Marine Corps' way of helping guys transition out? What was your experience like as you were getting out?
Oh, at that time, and then, I mean, even to the day.
What year was it when you got out?
I got out in 2008.
Okay, that is a year after I joined.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah. Just putting that out there.
And I understand. I mean, I hang around with young people. I mean,
It's kind of creepy.
I am a Harvey, I guess. Apparently,
Not that young.
Like I said, my standard pickup is, hey, you 14? So it's it's 2008. You're getting out of the Marine Corps. Where's Dan Cox go, man? What's?
Well, I mean, at that time, I had been married, kid and stepkid, so it was
That's
finding...
ballsy. That's ballsy
Yeah.
to get out of the Marine Corps when you're married and a kid on the way.
Yeah. Well, no, I already had a kid.
Well, you already had one. You got another one on the way? Is
Yeah,
that-
I mean,
oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was basically starting fresh and new,
Yeah.
and venturing into the unknown, essentially, like I did previously.
So what did you end up doing when you did get out of the Marine Corps?
Went back in. Well, so prior to the Marine Corps, I was in construction with my family,
Okay.
in the construction business, and ended up going back into that, but essentially moving that into working for the government in construction. So
Okay.
I've been doing that since.
So what's the rest of your life been like for Dan Cox? Kind of talk us through what life post Marine Corps was like, and the struggles that you went through. Because
lots and lots and lots of PTSD, and lots of fights with the ex-wife. Oh wait, yes, divorce.
yeah,
Imagine that.
weird how that works.
Yeah,
right?
that's just
3 people at the table, and we've all been divorced. One of us twice.
not naming names. Ashley.
So I mean, how much of that do you think had to do with PTSD and anxiety and depression and alcoholism and all of that stuff? You think if it hadn't been for that, you'd still be in that relationship, married, happy, successful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I it took me a long. I mean, I honestly, still to the day, have never opened up completely to my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Ever.
Get it. How do you think, and again, this is the really important part, for young Marines that are, or let's say young kids that are considering going into the Marine Corps, or Marines that are in the Marine Corps right now, what advice would you give to these kids that are 17, 18 years old, and they're thinking about going into the Marine Corps? What would you tell that kid?
Well, I mean, regardless if it's Marine Corps or Army or Navy or Air Force or Space Force.
God, I want to go Space Force.
Oh, Space Force. Oh, doorship corner.
Space Shuttle Door Gunner.
It used to be a joke back when we were all young, whatever. But it's actually coming to fruition, which is kind of crazy. No, I mean
if you told me I'd be drunk drinking water, I would have laughed at you. But here I am.
White girl wasted. I would say is that the first thing with joining the military, regardless of the branch, it's love of country.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not something that you can tell somebody, hey, you need to love your country. No, it is something that you were essentially born with.
Yeah. Or is cultivated at a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. And not even for somebody that has been born in the USA. I mean, I served with people that were born outside of the country that actually joined the military
For citizenship.
for citizenship. And it wasn't just for citizenship. It's because they believed in the ideals of the United States.
Yeah.
What I would say is that it's got to be deep in your heart of your belief of our democracy, your belief in our way of life.
Yeah, because if you're joining for money or fame, buddy, I got bad news for you.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, you're definitely the money part. I mean, you make more money at McDonald's these days.
Yeah. So talk for a minute to Marines that are getting out. They're ETSing, they're ready to call it a career, and they're transitioning. They've been deployed. What would you tell a 25-year-old Marine that's done 2 combat deployments that's getting out? What would be your first piece of advice to this guy or girl?
Well, I mean, if they went through a combat deployment, first thing I would do is, reach out to your brothers and sisters, because honestly, the military, and I hate to say it, but they do a very poor job for that transition.
Mm-hmm.
There is limited resources. I mean, once the military realizes that, hey, you know what, this guy's getting out, fuck him, whatever. You have to take it upon yourself to reach out, figure out what you're going to do. Go see a counselor. Go see a family counselor. Go see a guidance counselor. They have them, even though they don't like to promote it very well.
Mm-hmm.
But they're there, and they're an option for you. But the biggest thing I would say is that keep your brotherhood close to heart. Those guys and girls that you served with, as I said previously, they become closer than family, closer than blood. You keep them close, you and them will survive.
Yeah, we talked about this before we started podcasting. the struggle to find a support system after the military. A lot of people like myself, they don't go back home. They don't go back to where family is, and even if they do, it changes you. Even if you didn't deploy. But if you did deploy, 10 times more. It changes you. You are not the same person. Those relationships that you had before you entered the military are not going to be the same when you get back. And you have to have a support system.
Well, for the Vietnam era vets, there was always a saying that, and not just the Vietnam era, I guess the ones that came home from conflict, there was always a saying is that you never really come home.
Exactly. 100% agree.
That hasn't changed.
No. The Brandon, the Dan, and the Ashley that all deployed to Iraq, they're still over there somewhere. The Brandon, Dan, and Ashley that came home, different people, man. Like, real talk. The Brandon that deployed to Iraq in 2009 is not the Brandon that came home. He's still over there somewhere. The Dan that deployed, the Ashley that deployed, they're not the same people that came back, and that goes for every single person that's deployed. We're not the same when we come home. And so the challenge becomes, and what I'm hoping to accomplish through this podcast, even just a little bit, is to help people understand that when they come back and understand that they're not alone. We're all part of Drinking Bros. This is how we met. And Dan, I talked to you about it before we started. Well, Ashley was out walking my dog and probably being a slut or something. I don't fucking know.
I'm pretty sure she made $50.
Probably. I'd have just paid you that to do the dishes, but whatever. We talked about my personal struggle, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, but Drinking Bros saved my fucking life. Saved my life, 100% for sure. There are certain people in Drinking Bros that I can look at and say, you saved my life at this point in time. If you had not been here, I don't know where I'd be. Not here. So that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that support system, that family is what becomes integral to success post-military, post-deployment, post-military career. And it goes along perfectly with what you're saying about reaching out to your brothers and sisters, reaching out to those people that you deployed with that did become closer to you than your blood family. Those are the people you need to be relying on and depending on and reaching out to and constantly accountable to.
Well, and the thing about that, though, too, is that you may be in a dark place, but your brother, your sister may be in a dark place as well. You reaching out to them helps you just as much as it helps them.
Exactly. Well, and there's more to it because, that's basic survival. But then there becomes the accountability aspect. Something that the audience doesn't know. I got fired from my day job just a week ago. What were you bitching at me about all fucking night last night while we were out drinking? Hey, you apply for any jobs yet? What have you been fucking doing? And I was like, well, I've been sitting on the couch drinking. You're like, no, fucking wrong answer. Look, here is a job. Apply for it. Accountability. Okay, I've survived. I'm alive. But now I have to be accountable to somebody for what the fuck I'm doing with my life. Just surviving is not enough. That is baseline. Now, I need to be accountable to somebody for my success in life and my ability to live my life happily and successfully. And that's what we have in each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, to tag on to what you're saying about the drinking bros, I mean, granted, we're all here to hang out, be friends. But, I mean, the majority of us are veterans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly what this was started at. I mean, the guys that started this, I mean, that was the mindset behind it. I mean, it morphed from there to more, to a 2A, to just a friendship type forum. But the veteran community itself has to hold tight. They need to watch out for one another and help each other. And I can tell you right now, and I've seen it so much through, as you were saying, the camaraderie, just from the group, that everybody is there with more than just good intentions.
Yeah.
And it is something that that I think parlays really well into our daily lives, that puts a smile on everybody's face, which everybody has to have to keep living.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anything else you want to add, Dan, before we turn it over to Doc Ashley over here?
Doc Ash, she's over here just...
she's chomping at the bit, ready to get going.
She's dripping wet, waiting for Brandon to talk to her.
Hi, this is Brandon.
I meant the beer. She's dripping wet with the beer.
Yeah, that beer is dripping really wet. Oh, you got to get another
sorry.
alcohol.
As we were about to turn over the time.
She's got to get more alcohol.
She's got to get more
Most
alcohol.
women do have to be drunk to talk to me, so it's all right.
I mean, I wouldn't say just women.
That's true.
I mean...
That's not water in my dog's bowl. Those are White Claws. It's the only reason I get her to stick around, buddy.
She loves me so much.
Yeah, she's drunk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Ashley.
Dan, thanks for coming on. We are definitely going to have you back on to dive a little deeper into your life. But now let's get to Ashley. Hi, Ashley. Hi.
Hi, Brandon.
You need to talk into the mic.
I'm talking into this
I know you're
mic.
used to having phallic-shaped objects in your face. No, don't lick it. That was in Dan's. Oh, boy. You're clean, right, Dan? You don't have AIDS.
I got better.
He lived it up
okay.
for me.
He got better. Perfect. Hi, Doc.
Hi.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning when you were just a sperm in your dad's ball sack.
Oh, God. Why did it have to be me?
There were like 8 million other sperms in there, and it was you. So tell us about where you grew up, what your life was like growing up. Were you legit when you told me earlier you grew up Mormon?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So I'm from California, just like you.
Yeah.
I was born in a shittier valley than where you said
I
you grew up
doubt
at.
that.
San Joaquin.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yep. So I was born in Visalia. So that technically could be my hometown, but I don't want to claim it because I fucking hate it there.
Yeah.
I call Santa Clarita home.
Okay, Santa Clarita. Six Flags.
Which everybody gets pissed off if they're actually from LA. Is like, you're not from LA, but whatever.
Look over next to the stove. On the left side, there's like a tiki guy. That's the bottle opener. Yep, that one. With the bottle opener on top. That's the bottle opener. Oh, boy. I guess we're having a sleepover at Brandon's house tonight. Nobody's driving home. So, you grew up in California. You know, what was life like growing up for you in San Joaquin Valley, Santa Clarita? You're not in, like, the beach surfer scene, but you're not, like, in the Valley Girl scene.
Totally Valley Girl scene.
Valley Girl scene?
Yeah,
really?
girl.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Valley Girl.
Oh my
So
God.
if you put me in a group with, like, other Valley Girls, or even just one, the accent comes back out. It's
Oh,
really
God.
bad.
I really want to do that now.
Oh, can we get you drunk enough to have that, please?
Maybe. I'm not drunk enough right now, but maybe, like, in
Is
5
there a
minutes.
service that'll bring another bottle of Jameson? Because I think we need that.
Does DoorDash Jameson?
I don't know.
Look it up. Look it up.
Let's find out.
Okay, so you grew up in San Joaquin Valley, Santa
So I grew
Clarita.
up all over California because my dad was a CHP officer, California Highway Patrol, and we moved every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
So I went to so many different schools, made so many different friends, and
Probably got bullied a lot.
no, 'cause
No?
I was the cool
Just
kid.
me? Okay, weird.
If I did get bullied, I honestly don't remember. I was kind of like a loner / I got along with everybody in different groups.
Okay.
I just
You are like a social butterfly,
yeah,
so.
I kind of floated around. So it was alright. I did get bullied in middle school pretty bad. I got beat up by this girl
Of course you did.
when I had braces, and she punched me like right in the mouth. And like what hurt worse was that like my lips stuck to my braces, and I had to like peel them off. It was really bad.
That's
I know
awesome.
I'm saying like way too many times, but
Whatever, it's fine. So, you know, what did you have brothers, sisters? Were you the oldest?
I have 2 brothers.
2 brothers.
I have an older half brother. That's my mom's son, which I love him to death. Still my brother.
Talk into the microphone, Doc.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm just gonna start yelling.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Oh,
Wait,
boy.
let me get it in first.
Yeah, let him get it in first before you.
Put it in my face, thank you.
There we go. Perfect.
And then I have a baby brother that's also a CHP now, and he's
That's
also
cool.
a former Marine.
Awesome. Are your parents still in Cali?
God damn it!
We're gonna call them former Marines for the rest of your life. No, my parents actually moved up here when I had my son.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've been here for 4 years now. So I guess he was 3. But I went back home to Cali when my son was born because his dad deployed, and then I was like, I need help, so
Yeah.
I went home, and then
So, at what point did you decide, hey, I have nothing better to do with my life than join the military?
drugs.
Drugs was the point.
Drugs,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Lots of drugs.
So, you were doing drugs in high school,
Yes.
and then did you get in trouble? And you were like, well, fuck, I guess I'll just join the military.
Pretty
what
much.
happened, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much how it went down. I got my GED when I was 16
Okay.
because I was bored with high school. So I was like, okay. So it was like the beginning of my junior year. And I was like, if I can pass this shit, at least I can get the fuck out. And I passed it, surprisingly. 'Cause I'm
You're
kinda
not dumb.
I mean, I'm book smart, but I don't know.
I wouldn't
But,
go that far. I said you're not dumb. I didn't say you were book smart.
This is why I love you.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, no, I got my GED when I was 16, and like right after I turned 16, and then I wasn't doing anything with my life, and so a lot of my friends were older, like in their
Yeah.
20s or whatever, and so I was just trying to fit in, and that's when drugs like heavily became part of the picture, and I like them, so I wasn't gonna say no. And
Yeah. Well, and growing up in Southern California at the time that we grew up there, and the areas that we grew up
this
in,
is actually
it was.
in NorCal.
Ooh, was that in NorCal? That's
Yeah.
even worse. Growing up in Southern Cal, you know, I could get drugs.
My first introduction to cocaine. I feel like I probably shouldn't be saying this on record, but you know,
I like
fuck it.
cocaine. I like cocaine a lot.
Cocaine is not what it used to be, but I liked it when I was younger. And then when I tried joining the Army, so did I ever tell you about the time I tried to join the Air Force?
No, but you're gonna tell me now.
So I was calling around to recruiters or whatever. 'cause
How
I was
old were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
And so I call the Air Force recruiting station, and they're asking me these questions, and he's like, well, have you ever smoked weed? And I was like, yeah. Like, we're in California, like, who hasn't smoked weed, right? And then he's like, well, how many times? And I was like, a lot.
Just once.
Well, I didn't know that it was like a thing that this is going back to where I'm fucking stupid, right? And I was probably high when I called them.
Probably.
That's a total possibility. And then he's like, so how many times have you smoked weed? And I was like, a lot. And he's like, so you'd say like 7 to 10? And I was like, more like 100. And he's like, you should call us back, you know, like when you have a college degree and are over 18 or whatever. And I was like, okay, bye. And my mom was like, Ashley. She was listening in on the other phone.
Of course.
Because this is back in the time of landlines and shit. And I was like, oh, now my mom knows. But I mean, of course they know because I went through a lot of shit with my parents. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I love you guys. But
we just had an in-depth conversation with your parents on Facebook in the comments.
we did.
Yeah. So Air Force says, no, you're dumb. D-U-M, dumb. And then the obvious next choice is the United States Army.
Nope. I went through the Army was my last choice.
Of course. So you get down to the last branch of the military. Coast Guard has told you no. Navy has told you no.
I really wanted to join the Navy. So my grandpa was in the Navy for like 32 years. He was a command master chief like the whole time I was growing up. And so I was like, I have to join the Navy and like try and one up him, right?
Yeah.
Because like I grew up watching the Army Navy games with him.
Yep.
And of course we always fucking lost. The Army always lost. And so I was like, okay, I gotta join the Navy. Like that's what's. Look, Steven, are you
just
talking
because
shit
the
right now?
Marine Corps doesn't have a team, because they don't have a military academy? Yeah, you know where the door is.
Yes, but half of the Navy football team went green this year, motherfucker. That means they went to the Marine Corps.
I'm just saying, it'd be
made
sweet
a
if the Marine
mistake.
Corps actually had their own academy and team, but they don't because they're a department of the Navy. Anyway, Ashley, valued podcast guest, continue your story.
Yeah. So I didn't join the Navy, obviously, for the same reasons the Air Force wouldn't take me.
Because you were high.
Probably. I was probably very high. And then my Army recruiter was like the craziest person I ever met. He was this like little Mexican dude. Straight up was like trying to get me to drink tequila with him. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to get him in trouble.
He probably wanted to have sex with you.
He was like twice my age.
So he
More than
definitely wanted to have sex with you.
Probably.
Yeah.
But whatever. He got me into the Army. He probably got a fat bonus for that. And yep, so there it was.
So what made you decide to become a combat medic?
Well, I wanted to. Well, honestly, that was the biggest bonus at the time.
Okay.
So I
was that
like,
something that you
cool.
had ever thought about?
Well, I wanted to be an MP, which,
Okay. Gay.
knowing what I know now, would have not been my first choice. But my whole family was cops or military.
you would have had to have basically failed the ASVAB.
I
Well, she was high, so it wouldn't have been a
Yeah.
challenge.
I got a 112 GT score. I was proud of that. Yes. I have no idea what I got.
We're
in
not
the
going to
ASVAB.
talk about what my GT score was. Okay, so you decide to become a combat medic. You're like, fuck yeah, fat bonus. Mama's getting fucking lit.
Okay, so it was a fat bonus until I actually got to AIT and found out what everyone else was getting, which was like 4 to 20 times what I got. People were like getting $24,000 bonuses, and I was like, what the fuck, you guys? Because I'm 17, right? Like, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I did not get
Yeah.
close to that. I got
I got
$6,000.
$7,000.
It's because you were a Marine.
Marines don't get bonuses.
So you get to AIT. Where do you go to basic training? Okay, hold on. Time out. Let's back up. How old are you when you join?
17.
17. How old
Right
are
after
you
my 17th
when you go to basic training?
17.
17.
I was 17 all, like, up until I got to my first unit. So it was 2 months after I turned 17.
Well, you were 17 until you turned 18, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
but I mean,
that's
like,
usually the way numbers work.
school, basic, like, all this shit happens the
just counting
whole
crayons.
time that I'm 17.
Okay. I have some crayons. They're in my kid's room if you want to go.
Eat the black ones.
They taste like licorice. So where'd you go to basic training at?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri. So you go to basic training. What's that like for you? Are you in total and complete culture shock? Like people yelling at you, telling you what to do?
No,
No
because
weed,
my
no
dad
drugs?
like was kind of that way when I was
Okay.
growing up. So I was just kind of like, okay. But then I realized, like, this is my job now, so I have to
Yeah.
get into it. So it was, like, my first time honestly taking anything seriously. Because when I first got there, I couldn't run a mile to save my life. Like, there was
Yeah.
no way. And I was tiny, I was skinny, and it was just, like, I didn't care.
talking
Like,
to
going
the-
from this stoner loser kid to, like, actually trying to, like, make something of myself, I guess.
Yeah.
And I can thank one drill sergeant that I had for finally pushing me to, like, where I needed to go. And his name was Drill Sergeant Slaughter. So I feel like he
Cool
lives up
ass
to his
name.
name. Yeah. Like, badass, dude. Badass.
So you go to basic training. Where do you go for AIT?
Fort Sam Houston.
Sam Houston, Texas. Okay, what's AIT like for you? Did you have to kill a
was a
goat, keep it
fucking
alive,
party
the whole nine?
It was straight up a party school.
Party school. God
It's not
damn
that
it,
way
man.
anymore, but when I got there, so like the first couple weeks, obviously you're on lockdown.
What year is this?
This
when
is
you're in
2006.
AIT? 2006. How the fuck are we the same age? Whatever. Okay. 2006.
Yeah.
Fort Sam Houston, Texas. First couple weeks are in lockdown. It's pretty serious. Then
So this guy that I had been seeing, okay,
Oh my
so
God.
right before I left for basic training, so I just want everyone to know I want this to be like way more lighthearted than when Dan was talking, because I'm just like all in my feels right now, trying not to be
and
sad.
you
so.
are drunk.
And I'm drunk, so I'm gonna make my story a happier story. Plus, I didn't do like an eighth of the badass shit that Dan did, so let's
Well,
be
yeah,
real.
Dan is a fucking hero.
Yeah.
Should be saluted as such.
So I have funny stories to share, so we'll keep it like that. But I met this dude that was in the Navy
Keep talking. I gotta go pee.
in New Year's, and we ended up fucking at this girl's house, and it was whatever. And so we start like dating and whatnot. So like the whole time I'm in basic, we're like writing letters back and forth to each other, and he shows up. So he's stationed in Virginia, actually. He was from Cali, like same area. That's how I met him. And then I was probably in AIT for, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, and he like showed up so that he could ask me to marry him. Yeah, get on that mic. I'm sure you have questions. And he was like 22.
Wait. So, how many? Well, I'm not going to even ask how long you were dating, but how many dates had you been on?
So it pretty much went of like 3 weeks of straight fucking before he had to leave, and then I shipped out for basic. Well, no. It had to be before that. No, it had to be. Okay, so I left for basic January 6th, 2000. So 6 full days of nothing but fucking.
So essentially, he was just looking for housing allowance and benefits. I mean, aside
And he
from
knew
the
I was
benefits
leaving,
that you already
so
had.
I don't know. I never thought I'd see him again, like, after that.
I mean, for a guy to come in and surprise you after, what did you say, a few weeks of
No, 6 days, because if I met him
so
on
6
New
days of
Year's,
coitus.
Yeah,
And
Butt stuff? Is that why?
I gave him everything.
so, I mean, obviously, Ashley, well, again, apologize to her parents, but
Oh my
she-
God, my parents are never going to listen to
they'll,
this.
I mean, they may. I mean, especially
If they do,
if
I'm
this
gonna
goes
be
if this goes
eternally
viral, then
traumatized.
absolutely they will hear it. But I mean, if you're at a point where, I mean, obviously, after 6 days, I must say that you've got to be a sexual goddess. If you have a guy, now granted, Navy, I mean, he's got a choice between you and 5,000 guys. That
I would choose me too.
Oh, well, me too. I mean, between you and 5,000 guys, I mean, now granted, I mean, there are maybe a few guys like that I may choose over, but
Unless it's Henry Cavill, like, come on.
Get off my man, slut.
but if he's asking you to marry you after
He did,
6
and he showed up.
days,
Like, he came to my AIT and asked my drill sergeants for like time alone with me, and it was so awkward because like I was standing in formation when I saw him, and I like broke out of formation and ran up and like hugged him.
Of course you did,
And you
because
could
you
tell
have
like
no
every
discipline.
drill sergeant was freaking out, but wouldn't like want to say shit, which was weird. No one said anything though.
15 before you even graduated.
I don't know. Because it was chill as fuck. Like, I have some fucking stories about AIT, but not about me, about other people.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I have stories, but whatever.
Give them my phone number.
They're our age now.
Perfect.
But yeah. And then it was like the next day I realized I was like, I don't want to get married. I'm 17. I'm probably deploying soon. Like, I knew that as soon as I joined. Which, I mean, honestly, I did know that going in. I was like, I'm totally down with deploying. I'm totally down. I didn't know what I was getting myself into so much, but I think it did shape me into being, what the fuck are you taking a picture of me for?
For Instagram. For the gram.
Okay.
Don't worry, you look great. Or something. I don't
Or
know.
something.
Continue.
Well, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. AIT was fun.
Okay. So, do you end up marrying this dude?
No, I didn't. I had
No.
to tell him like 2 days later that it was off. And
Okay.
then I ended up I put it in an envelope and like mailing his ring back to him.
Jesus
I
Christ.
was such a cold-hearted bitch. Scott, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. You were
Sorry,
cool.
Scott. Okay, so then you graduate AIT. What's your first duty station? Where do you go?
Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Third IB.
Georgia.
Georgia.
You get there. What's life like for you at your first duty station? At this point, are you in culture shock? Are you thinking like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck did I do?
So I remember like flying into Savannah. And so this is like, I knew nothing about it like before I get there. And I open the window and all I see is fucking trees. Like no city, no nothing. Just trees and like some random houses here and there. And I was like, this is some podunk country ass shit. Where the fuck am I? This is not... That's a great photo. I look like a cow. But yeah, I was not about it. I was not feeling it when I got there.
Okay, so at this point, are you thinking like, holy fuck, I made a mistake? Or are you thinking
I was like, why would they send me here? Well, actually, when I first... Okay, so initially, I got orders for somewhere else, and I can't remember where. I think it was Hawaii. And I was really excited about it. I was like, awesome.
Hickman?
And then they were like, just fucking kidding. They cut me new orders for somewhere else. And it was Georgia.
That sounds
And
like
I
the
was
Army.
like, what the fuck? Like, how does that happen?
Sounds like the Army.
It was either Hawaii or Germany. It was somewhere that I was like actually excited to go. And then like 2 days later, they were like, we're just kidding. Those were the wrong orders. You're going here. And so it was Fort Stewart, Georgia.
So when you get to Fort Stewart and you get to your unit, are you a line medic at this point? Are you assigned to
No,
like a
straight up
company?
support medic. Like
Support medic,
learning
okay.
all that shit. Ugh.
You get there, are you thinking like, all right, what year is this? Is this
This is still
still 2006? Are you thinking like, all right,
So I got there
I'm gonna
in
deploy.
August. Okay. So I had a month off in between
okay,
when I graduated AIT and when I went to my first unit.
okay.
And so I mean, we can't get in trouble for things that go on like this long ago,
We're
right?
like 15 years past this point.
Yeah,
You're
okay,
good.
good. So I went back home to Cali for like the month that I was out, and
Did a lot of drugs.
okay. So
All the drugs.
one of my best friends in high school, her name's Joey, hella rich, like her dad's hella rich, and her parents had
It's
this
good
badass
cocaine.
beach house down in Pismo. And if you've ever been to Pismo, like, love Pismo,
Yeah.
right?
Primo cocaine.
So we get down there, and my dumbass decides that it's fun to take ecstasy and shrooms at the same time.
Oh God, I love you so much.
Wait, whoa.
I was like, this is gonna be so fun, you guys. It was
I'm gonna
not.
get a hard on in a different world.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much. So I'm
Fucking
like,
aliens.
it's one of those houses where like the top of the roof is flat, and they had like made like this really nice like get up there. And so I'm like standing on the roof. It's probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I just remember thinking that the ocean was made out of snakes, and the moon was like melting into the ocean. Everything was like pitch black. I was tripping out. And mind you, it was in the middle of July, but it was pretty hot. But I'm like freezing cold. And so Joey brings me inside because I didn't bring coats or anything. It's July. And she's like, here, just go in my mom's closet. And her mom has fur coats. So I put on this giant fur coat. Like, now I'm like, look, I look like fucking Macklemore, like, walking down the street. And we're all like, let's go to the beach. Okay, because it was right down the street. So I'm like walking down there in my giant fucking fur coat and like blanket and whatever the fuck else is going on. Somehow, okay, so I like remember laying out on the beach, and I fell asleep, and I had a dream about, and how you fall asleep on ecstasy, I have no idea. I attribute that to the shrooms, but I had a dream about this dude that was my substitute teacher in kindergarten. Like, I don't know why it's so vivid to me. I still remember it.
Sounds like you got touched.
Probably. Because what happened was I woke up and there was this homeless guy, like, in my face, like, an inch away from my face. And he's like, "You got any weed?"
Ashley,
As
your
soon
life
as
is
I
just all
opened
my
my
nightmares
eyes.
rolled into one.
As soon as I opened my eyes. And I was like, "What?" And, like, my friends were sitting on benches probably, like, I don't know, a couple 100 meters from me. And I was like, "Why did you guys leave me here alone?" Whatever. You're in high school, right? It's fun. And, because all my friends are going through their senior year at this point. And I'm the one that's like, "I want to join the army, dudes. I'm cool." And I was not. So, I end up waking up and I go and, like, sit on a bench with this dude and offer him some cigarettes. And we're talking and I tell him that I'm, like, on leave from the army. And he starts, like, going in depth about conspiracy theories and Watergate and all this shit and how I should go to jail instead of going to Iraq. And he's like, "No, you're so much better off. Like, just go to jail. Fuck all that. Blah, blah, blah." And, like, just going crazy. And I was like, "Cool story, bro." Like, I have no, like, I'm so high at this point. I was just like, I don't know what's going on. And honestly, I don't remember the end of that night, but somehow we got rid of him. But yeah, that was like my most memorable experience on leave.
Wow. Wow.
Don't do those two drugs at the same time. I don't recommend it.
So you go, now you're at Fort Stewart, Georgia. You're in your unit. You're training. Are you thinking like, "Hey, I'm probably going to deploy. I'm going to go."
I knew I was going to deploy. It was the middle of the war. I mean,
yeah. When is it that you actually end up deploying? How long are you at Fort Stewart before you deploy?
a year.
A year. Okay, we're not going to talk about Iraq because I am not empathetic and I cannot watch you cry. I will fucking kick you the fuck out. I'll make you sleep on the sidewalk.
He is the worst fucking liar I've ever met in my
Like-
life. For everybody that wants to know, Brandon will cry with me because
This is a
Iraq
lie.
sucked.
I don't know what you're talking about. But we're not going to talk
But
about
if we're
it.
going to get up to that point and talk about depressing shit.
So you go to Iraq in 2007, right? During the surge?
Yeah.
And you're over there for how long?
15 months.
15 months. Okay. You come back from Iraq, like we talked about earlier, a changed person. The Ashley that deployed to Iraq is gone, dead.
100%.
Does not exist anymore.
I
You come
went there a
back-
child and I came back some like
A man.
weird fucked up person.
Yeah. So you come back, you're fucked up, you saw some shit.
You know what though? I think I processed trauma weird.
Well, yeah, you're
compared
do
to-
a lot of drugs.
But I mean at this point obviously I'd been clean for a while.
Okay, yeah, right, correct.
But like I don't process trauma quickly. It takes a while for me to like actually like stop and like I'm one of those people that just kind of like goes through the motions when it's happening, and then as soon as I have time to like stop and sit back and actually think about something, I'm
Yeah.
like, that was actually really fucked up.
Yeah.
And then you start going more in depth about it, and then you start realizing like all of that was really fucked up, and I think that's what really fucked me up. You know what I mean? Because I got home and then you gotta hit me in this face with it, bitch.
Oh, that was really loud in my eardrums. If your mouth isn't gonna be that close, I can turn the volume down.
Joe, might talk about it.
Yeah. So, you know, you come back from Iraq. You're over there for 15 months. You come back in what, the middle of 2008-ish?
December, almost Christmas, 2008.
Okay. You come back and, you know, you've seen some shit. You've gone through some shit. We're not going to get into it tonight because, again, I am not dealing with emotional Ashley tonight. Like, I'll make you leave.
Why are you being mean to me right now?
Because this is what I do. So you come back. At this point, are you like, "Hey, I'm staying in. I'm getting out." What's your
So
plan?
I
when you
was
come
straight
back
up
from
set
Iraq?
on getting out. I had really shitty leadership. I had great leaders in certain aspects, but straight up like upper chain of command, complete shit. Just
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name any names, but It's like, you know when you just, like, set out when you don't like somebody from the get-go and you just...
Yeah.
And I could never prove myself. No matter what I did, it was end of the road. And, I mean, you can't... Looking at it now from this age, you're like, you have a 17... Well, at the time I was 19, turning 20 while I was there. I can only imagine, like, dealing with a 19 or 20-year-old right now at this age. Like, kind of, yeah, they're probably shitheads, right? But it was like, no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't change their minds. And so I just kind of gave up. But it wasn't until I got home that I realized, like, wow, like, a lot of this shit was, like, really fucked up. And, like, some fucked up shit happened. And it wasn't until I really started, like, processing it and thinking about it that I was like...
So did you end up staying in or did you get out?
No, so I stayed in.
Did you re-up?
I did. I re-upped for Fort Lewis.
Okay.
Which is why I'm still here.
So let me interrupt real quick to explain to people. When we say re-up, we mean like you re-enlist for another X amount of years. You can do like 2, 3, 4, and in some cases you can put a stipulation on your re-enlistment. You can say I'm re-upping, but in my contract I get X school, X duty station, or I'm re-enlisting to go to a different MOS, so on and so forth. So in Ashley's case, she re-enlisted for, in her contract, to be able to go to Joint Base Lewis McChord. How many years did you re-up for?
4.
4? Okay. So this is in pretty much 2009. You're re-upping for an additional 4 years. You PCS to Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Yep, so I got here in January 2010.
Okay.
And as soon as I got here, they put me in OBGYN at Madigan. I thought I was going to be going to at least another field unit, which I was down for. But they put me in a hospital, which I was not expecting. So I came out here because my mom was sick. So I was like, at least, because nobody fucking wants to go to Fort Irwin. Like, nobody wants to fucking go there, right? So I was like, at least if I'm here, if something happens, I can drive home, and it's not like...
Which the reason you didn't go to a line unit is because we were all deployed then because my ass was in Iraq in the beginning of 2010.
Yeah, so, well, they sent me to a fucking hospital, so I was like, all right, that's cool. And so they sent me to OBGYN, and a girl that I was deployed with, actually, was my sergeant. As soon as I got there, I was like, as soon as I heard Sergeant Opal, I was like, oh, fuck. She got down there, like, Janelle, what's up? And it was great.
What up, girl?
So I took her position. So I was an E5 sitting in an E7 slot.
Okay.
For 2.5 years.
Again, for people that don't know, an E5 is a sergeant. Just throw that out there. E7 would be like a sergeant first class. So you're a lower rank and you're performing the job of a rank, pretty far ahead of where you should be.
It was me and Staff Sergeant Taylor, and we like ran that shit, which was frustrating because it was mainly dealing with officers, and then you have your civilians and whoever.
So, you get to Joint Base Lewis McChord. Hello, fucking big time difference between fucking Savannah, Georgia.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about the culture shock of getting home from Iraq, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So
I was in country for a solid fucking year.
15 months.
12
months. Okay.
Because as soon as they sent me on one of the first rotations home.
Okay.
And for your 2 weeks, or how long was leave, whatever, the R&R. And then I got back, and then I had like pretty much a solid year in country.
Okay.
And so by the time that it was time to go home, I was kind of freaking out because I was like, this is home now. Like, this is what I'm used to. This is daily life.
What was that transition like to you coming back to Savannah from being in Iraq for a year straight?
It was fucking weird. I remember like handing over my weapon and being like...
Just kind of feel empty.
I was like, why are you taking this from me? Like, I kind of need that, because you carry it with you every day. And so it's just kind of like, let me shake up every routine you've ever had for the last year until you can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get back and you remember, like, I remember seeing, like, movies out for, I think it was still for rent. It was, like, that long ago. But there was, like, movies for rent that were in theaters as previews when I left. But they had been out forever, and now you could buy them or whatever. Yeah. And just, like, shit like that. Like, new music, like, new...
You literally put your life on hold for a year and a half, and you come back, and everything else has moved on, but you really haven't. In a way, you have, because you're a totally different person.
But you don't even get to move on because you're not even thinking about that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the things that are normal here are not normal when you're deployed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, nobody gives a shit about, like, modern-day technology. Like, you're straight up, like, is everything that's going on in this healthcare facility up to date, up to par? Are we taking care of everyone as good as we can fucking, offer?
How did you cope with that transition coming back to the U.S. from Iraq? You're not 21. You can't drink legally.
I drank anyway.
Well, yeah, obviously. We all did. It's not like this is some hidden thing or like I'm shaming you for this. We all did. But was there any other way that you like looked at yourself in the mirror and said like, this is the way I'm going to deal with this? Did you try and go to therapy? Did you just like, well, I'm just going to drink myself silly?
So my best friend died in a rollover accident, and I was still not coping with that really well. And then I found like the greatest therapist I've ever found in my fucking life. I can't think of his name. If I could find him again, it'd be amazing. And then, I mean, other than that, no. I mean, it was like nothing ever happened. It was like it was a dream. We just went back to the same old Army schedule of PT, motor pool, work, bullshit.
Well, in a way, the Army does that. I think they do it on purpose to try and get you back onto like a schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, it
like
worked.
A routine.
It worked in a way. Like,
but in another way, you're just burying everything that's happened. You're not dealing with it in
I don't think I dealt with shit because like when I got back, my personality completely changed. Everything about me changed. Like, I had the shortest fuse. Anything would piss me off. I was constantly upset. And I didn't even know what I was upset about. I was just fucking upset. Like, so I let my parents take my car when I was deployed. And they didn't even renew my tags. And I, like, had a meltdown over it. Which is completely out of personality for me. What'd you say?
You said a boot, not about.
A boot.
A boot.
We talked about the fact that I have a fucking speech impediment and you guys are assholes.
Well, duh. You know me.
In my house. With my boots.
With my boots. Okay, so you've come back. You're drinking a lot. You're dealing with Iraq and the things that happened over there. You come to Fort Lewis. You're running an OBGYN at Madigan. What happens after that? Is that kind of your life for the next 4 years? Do you go do
No, not
else?
not even. So I ended up getting pregnant.
Well, that's important.
Like
on accident.
I know. But
That's usually how they start, yeah.
Well, yeah, it is
So I was here for
accident,
probably...
but, I mean, was it spontaneous? Like,
yeah.
spontaneous combustion, all of a sudden, boom, hey, I'm pregnant. Oh, wait, was I even seeing a guy?
No, I think it comes... Okay, so this is how I met my ex-husband. We were at WLC. And
Which is the Warrior Leaders course. It's a non-commissioned officers course that like specialists go through as they're getting ready to get promoted to like E5.
Or E6.
Thank you, military Wikipedia.
I'm just explaining it for the audience that may not know. We have some civilian listeners that aren't in on our lingo. Don't hate.
So we got, like, cause you have to take buses everywhere or whatever when you're in military school or whatever. And my ex came up to me and was straight up like, "Can I sit here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's talking to me, whatever. And I asked him where he worked. And he, like, pointed in some general direction and was like, "Over there." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, meet up with me for coffee, like, at least that." And I was like, "No, thanks." And then he persisted for, like, 3 days. And I was finally like, "Okay, we can go out for coffee." And we get there, and I see his truck, and he has a fucking Ranger sticker on it. And I was like, "God damn it, this is exactly why I wanted to say no. Like, not about it, not whatever." We ended up hooking up. We had a lot of fun for a month because as soon as, like, we graduated WLC, and a month later he went to Afghanistan. Well, when he was in Afghanistan, I found out I was pregnant.
You don't know about, like, okay, hold on, time out. You work in an OBGYN clinic.
Yeah, I was on birth control.
You run an OBGYN clinic. You didn't like
It's not like I was
double up on
being
that shit?
stupid. You can't double up on birth control. Do you want to have like a whole like feminist?
Look, I don't use condoms because we know there's 2 rules in my house.
I hope
which
you
is where
fucking
we're
pull
at
out.
now. Nothing is straight, as you can tell by all
And
my
nobody
stuff on the
pulls
wall,
out.
and nothing pulls out. None of the drawers in this house pull out because they're all super glued closed. All of my decorations are a little crooked.
The amount that you can bullshit with a straight face is amazing.
You act like I'm bullshitting.
I just pulled your drawer out, babe.
Oh, you just pulled something out in my house? Fuck.
I
The
fucked
only-
it up.
Only goddamn thing that's pulled out in here in the year and a half I've been living here.
Do you want more kids?
No, God, no. I should not be allowed to have any more children.
I feel like when I finally listen to what's happening on this podcast, I'm going to be really ashamed of myself.
Yeah, welcome to my life. Welcome to my life.
I'm down for it.
Every time I do one of these and I listen to it the next day, I'm like, oh my God.
I said that?
I'm going, oh, I made a joke about that. There was a time, we're going to fast travel here. I made a joke about fucking your own sister.
Do you have a sister?
I do have a sister. And I did it with Blake, my co-host that's on here sometimes when we do the Swapcast. I made a joke about fucking your sister. And we were introducing the show, and he's like, yeah, I'm Blake. And then it took a couple seconds, and I was like, hey, and I'm Brandon. He's like, well, you were really late there. And I go, yeah, well, you know, just like your sister's period after you fuck her, sometimes it's late and you get a little worried.
Fuck that. You're awful. You are the worst.
The worst. But I'm also kind of the best. Okay.
Well, so I was
So
actually
you get
going to
knocked
go. Yeah, well, I was applying to become a flight medic.
Okay. Not now because you're having a baby.
Well, so I was having to go get a physical to even apply to the school.
That's how you found out you were
and I
pregnant.
found out I was fucking pregnant.
So what goes through your mind? Are you like, well, fuck, smishmortion time? Or are you automatically like, I'm going to keep it? What's...
So I went through like every emotion I think anyone does when they're not married or expecting or whatever, you know. And I was like, you know what? I have a good job. I'm old enough. Like,
How old are you at this point? Are you like 20?
I was 22.
22.
22 or 23.
So you're kind of pushing like the end of your enlistment at this point.
Yeah. Well, I was getting ready to re-enlist. So, because I had been at for about 7 years at this point.
And you're in E5.
A5.
Okay. And you find out you're pregnant, and eventually you decide you're going to keep the baby.
Yeah. And I mean, straight up, so fucking glad I made that decision. I would never, ever, ever take that back.
What's that conversation like when you have this conversation
He was
with this
fucking
dude?
excited. He hung up on me to call his mom, and he called me from Afghanistan.
So does he call you and like, hey, girl, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, hey.
And I was like, I got news. Like, trying to talk to him about, like,
I
what do
would've
you
loved
want to
have heard
do?
that conversation.
That would have been a
I was straight up expecting, like, well, you're going to get rid of it.
a gnat on a goat's
Oh,
ass.
Yeah, and I mean, I was not expecting the reaction that I got.
So he's pumped. He's excited. Do you guys decide, like, hey, we're going to get married and, like, do this the right way?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
you guys...
I mean, I was not on board with that in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, we can be friends and co-parent. I mean, we both have good jobs. We're both, like, making shit work. We get along, obviously, at the time. And, I don't know. He got home and we, like, kept dating. And I think it was just, it became one of those things where it was like, because there's a baby, you feel obligated.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, I kind of wish I had just been older and more mature to deal with it in the way that
Yeah.
I would deal with it now. Because I never would have got married. I never would have, you know what I mean?
But you do end up getting married.
Yeah, we
Does
did end
he
up getting
does
married.
he end up like proposing to you? Or do
He
you guys-
did. He did it in the sweetest way, too. Like, I didn't
Gay.
expect that out of him.
What was his MOS?
He was infantry.
God damn it, he would be. Can't even talk shit.
All infantry. You guys are lamest motherfuckers. I love you guys, though. You're my favorite.
So he proposes to you when he comes back from Afghanistan.
Well, no, he didn't propose to me until I was, like, super
Well,
fat and pregnant.
Okay. So he proposes to you though, and you say yes. Oh my god.
He, like,
yes.
redid our whole first date.
Gay.
It was, and, like, you kind of know it's coming, but you don't want to get your expectations up. And then, yeah, no, he did. And I was like, okay. But So he proposed to me with the ring that his dad gave his mom,
boy.
and they're divorced. And I was like, I feel like that's a bad omen.
bad
And I
omen.
probably
Yep.
should have listened to my gut. Sorry, Adam, if you're listening to this.
So, you guys get married. You have a baby. You have a boy.
Yep.
And what's his name?
Owen.
Owen. What's life like after that? Man and wife and baby.
Complete shit.
Mm-hmm.
Everything with Owen was fantastic. Owen was a fantastic baby. Like, I got so fucking lucky. I hear horror stories from other women about, like, how babies are when they're little, and, like, I was dreading it because I'm not mom material, obviously. And
We're blackout drunk, and it's 12:57 in the morning.
well, actually,
and
I
you
quit
both have to work
drinking. I
tomorrow.
quit doing all this shit, and you know, I was like trying to be a better person because I had this little person to take care of. But I was like, how do you take care of it? And it was kind of one of those things where it was
It's
just
a
like I wanted
big-ass
everybody
yawn
else
over
to
there,
fuck
Dan.
off and just like let me do it. Let me be a mom.
So, you know, we're going to skip around a little bit because it is getting late. We're pushing it. But obviously, because I'm sitting here with you, marriage doesn't work out.
Wait, is this a sexist ass conversation? 'Cause I didn't want to talk about Iraq, so you're talking to me about having a baby.
We're just progressing along the natural path of your life. You had a baby. You get a divorce. Look, I'm divorced too. High five for the divorce club. I have 2 kids and I'm divorced, so fuck me. But you guys end up getting a divorce. What's that like? Are you still active duty when you get divorced, or are you out?
I had gotten out. I got out because we were both on orders.
Okay.
So I got out, obviously, because no fucking way am I leaving my kid with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of regret that. I mean, I could have left him with my mom, and I could have kept my job. And looking back, I'm still iffy on looking back. Like, I
But
can't.
it's hard as a mother. You want to be with your kid.
Yeah, and I mean, like, 90% of me is so fucking happy about that. I got to see his first
Yeah.
steps, his first words, like, first everything.
I missed all of that shit when I was
Yeah,
in
and I
Iraq with
can't
my-
imagine, like, only watching that through video. Because today I was, like, watching videos of him when he was a baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know,
Yeah.
super, super happy that I was there for it instead of just, like, somebody sending me a video like, hey, Owen took his first steps today. Like,
Yeah.
that's devastating.
I remember being in Iraq and getting an email with pictures from my now ex-wife of my son at his first birthday party, eating his birthday cake.
I couldn't, no, there's no
That
way.
was rough.
Like,
I
okay,
barely
so
made
I
it
think I have to
home.
change my mind. 100%, I'm so glad I got out
I
just so I
barely
could.
made it home to see my second son born. I had to work drug deals, man. I owed people logs of chew, cartons of cigarettes, like cases of Monster. I pulled every string I had. I pulled it off to get home to see my youngest son born. Because he was due on like December 22nd. Everybody's trying to go home for
Yeah, for
Christmas.
Christmas.
But I was able to make it work. Thanks, Josh Fallon. I love you, brother. Thank you. I hope that chew was worth it.
You know, it was hard though, because it was like I was looking forward to another deployment. I was looking forward to being a flight medic, hopefully, if I had passed the school. I was looking forward to this whole career change.
But life comes at you fast.
It does. I mean, when you think you're being responsible and you're taking birth control and you have no idea that this is going to happen to you,
Yeah.
and then you have to make a decision. And so it changes everything. Having a kid fucking changes everything.
Changes everything, yeah.
But I mean, I don't think I knew what love was before I had this kid. Like, all that cheesy shit you can think of when it comes to, like, children is fucking true.
Yeah.
Like, I love that kid more than the earth is wide, so.
So, you know, you guys end up getting...
How can it be wide?
It's still wide, bitch.
I'm not a math magician. I don't know about any of this. I am a podcaster, though, so...
You're fat.
You know what's not fat is my dick right now.
I'm fat
Because
too,
it's
okay.
1:01 in the morning. We got to finish this shit. You both have to work tomorrow. I don't.
I
'cause
can't
I'm
wait to
a
hear what
loser
you
and
edit
I-
out of this. I feel like you're going to edit, like,
I am
certain
not
sentences
editing
out, and then I'm going to be,
anything
like, sounding
out.
like a complete cunt.
Well, I don't have to edit it to make you sound like that.
Yeah, you're right.
So you guys get a divorce. You kind of get fucked over in the divorce.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into like crazy details about it. I'm not going to throw all your personal life out there, but you get the shaft. And now you're still here in Tacoma Your son is not here.
Yeah, my son's in Georgia.
Your son is in Georgia. What's your life like after this divorce? At any point, do you think I'm going to go back in the military and do this again and like finish?
I've been looking at re-upping, but I've been injured so much. I think that it's probably not a good idea.
I'm just going to eat the fuck out of these chips.
They're the best chips,
They're
right?
So good.
I went and bought beer, and I bought like 2 bags of Sun Chips because they're really good.
But you only brought one up to my apartment.
Because I'm gonna eat the other when I'm driving home tomorrow.
I see how it is.
Um.
So you seriously consider going back in the military?
Yeah.
What makes you say? Is it solely like physical? Like I've probably been fucked up too much.
Probably, yeah.
So what do you end up doing after that? You're divorced.
So I ended up going back to school. Yeah, that's all I did. I've been going back to school forever. I was in a relationship for 4 years after that. That tells you how fucking long ago all this shit happened. Yeah, I got in a relationship. I was working as a office manager for a sleep clinic for a good year. And then I was like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. And then I went to school.
Use that GI Bill.
Good GI Bill, yeah. And then, I mean, we were making it. Everything was fine. My boyfriend at the time moved in. We became our own little family. And, like, for a solid year, my life was hella good. Like, 0 complaints.
But, as we all know, life never stays hella good. So, shit obviously rolls downhill, and it rolls downhill fast.
Yeah,
so
and
what happened?
So, Adam got orders to Georgia and was like, I'm taking Owen with me. And I was like, the fuck you are? And then I figured out that the papers I signed when I got divorced didn't mean what they actually meant. So he won basically on a technicality. And I don't know. I got fucked. And so, and not in the good way. So, I don't know. I think what this has taught me is I have really unhealthy coping mechanisms.
We all do, yep. That's why we're all drinking at 1 o'clock in the morning on a
yeah, it hasn't changed
Thursday?
because
It's Thursday morning.
Yeah, it's Thursday morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we are all.
But I'm not driving, so I'm good.
Wait,
but...
you're staying here?
Yeah, bitch.
All right, whatever.
But for real though, I mean, I'm not drinking like I was, but
Yeah.
I was getting like blackout drunk every day. As soon as Owen left, I lost my shit. I fucking lost my mind. And I don't know if that changed my personality more than even Iraq did. Like, that was just as deep and dark. And
Well, that's a big change in your life to...
Well, I went... Because, like, the whole transition into being a mom was such a fucking massive thing for me. Because I was like, I don't want kids. I don't want to be a mom. I don't want this change that's going to happen. And then he got here, and I was like, holy fuck, I love this tiny human being. And then I get to watch him grow up. And it was just me and him for the most part for, 3 years. Because his dad was gone most of the time because of his job. You can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for it because that was, like, my time with my son. And that just fucked me up. You know what I mean? Because I changed my whole life around. I changed everything about myself. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't partying. I mean, I would go out, like, when he was with his dad or whatever. Every once in a while, I would, like, go out on a weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was definitely not as crazy I was when I was, younger. And
So, your son leaves with his dad. They PCS to Georgia. You're kind of getting out of a relationship at this point. Where do you go from there? What do you sit and, like, when it's just Ashley and you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself,
don't
like,
fucking do what I did.
So let's do this. Now you're going to school. You're working part-time doing interior design. You're doing good for yourself. You're on the bounce back up. You've been at the lowest points that you can be at in life. But that's kind of where we go before we bounce as high as we can. That's my belief.
Yeah.
I
did. I hit rock bottom, like, multiple times.
Yeah. So you're bouncing. You're on your way back up. You're finishing up school. You're doing well for yourself. look at, like I asked Dan earlier, look at a 17, 18-year-old kid that wants to join the military, wants to join the Army. What do you tell them?
Really think about your future. I mean, research the job that you're going to take. Like, that's going to be such a major part of you, especially if you enjoy it at all. Like, I loved being a medic
Unless you're infantry.
Yeah. Don't go infantry. Don't do that.
Don't
Get a
do
job
that.
that's actually going to pay you money when you get out.
Like yours is right now, right?
Yeah, right? Like, don't be a medic. Don't be infantry. If you do go medic, I mean, plan on staying in for a while because they will pay for you to get your nursing degree, which I had offered to me and I said no like an idiot. So, I mean, that's always an option. There's more, I think there's more options for medics than there is infantry, at least
Yeah, absolutely.
career-wise, right? But if I had only known career-wise going in, like, what the options are and what it was going to pay when I got out, like, I definitely would have been researching that shit. And then, I know it's so fucking annoying when older people are always like, I had to learn the hard way. Everybody has to learn the hard way, right?
There's no
fucking
easy way
listen
to
to them,
learn.
though.
There's no easy way to learn. We all learn the hard way.
Yeah, but it's like when somebody keeps telling you, hey, you're fucking up, take a step back outside of yourself. Like, I think especially at such a young age, it's so easy to be like, I don't feel like I'm fucking up, like I'm okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you keep hearing over and over like, hey, you're fucking up, take a step back and like reanalyze. It's okay. At no matter what stage of life you're at, it's okay to always take a step back, reanalyze what you're doing. Reanalyze what's going on in your life. Reanalyze what you want. Reanalyze what's making you happy. Like, are you not happy? What's going on? Like, I think self-love and self-care is so underrated.
I agree.
But more people need to fucking do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, so let's change gears here a little bit real quick. And let's look at the soldier that's been through a couple deployments. They're at the point in their career where they're like, man, I might get out. I might stay in. And actually, you know what? Let's skip that. Let's look at the soldier that's had a couple deployments and they're saying, hey, I'm getting out. What is your advice to a soldier with a couple of combat deployments? They're getting out right now in this economy, in this world that we're living in.
Fucking Christ.
What
Don't
are
do
you
it.
telling them?
Don't fucking do it. Or make sure you have employment secured before you get out. And make sure you're not in any kind of debt. Because it will catch the fuck up to you. Like, $6,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money in the long scheme of things, but that is hard to pay off when you're making, 15, $16 an hour and trying to make your way through life when the average rent of where you're living is $1,500 for a studio. Like, you're not going to pay that shit off anytime soon.
So, this is something that I did, and I see other military guys do it when they get out. They're like, oh, well, this was my MOS. I'm going to be able to get out and have a job easy. No, the fuck you ain't.
Well, I think a lot of them
It
think
doesn't
they're going
matter.
to just take another contracting job.
Yeah,
and then
or they
deploy
say, like,
overseas.
I'm just going to come out and be a cop, or I'm going to go work for the government. Dude, it's not that easy. It is not easy. There is nothing easy about getting out of the military and then going
I
and
think
working in
that's
the
also
civilian
why
sector.
it's really important while you're in, make as many connections as you can. Don't write anybody off. Like,
take advantage of going to school while you are in the military. It doesn't affect your GI Bill.
oh, absolutely.
Your GI Bill
you
is
can get
totally
free, 100% free education while you're in.
Yes, you can be doing correspondence courses. Every military installation has a education center that has at least
I got my
four
I didn't
colleges
finish
there.
it, but I almost finished my associates in nursing law I was in.
Yes,
It
you
was
can
free.
do it.
It
It's
was
easy.
free.
It's free and it doesn't count against your GI Bill. You can start while you're on active duty, and then as you transition out, boom, now you can use your GI Bill to finish.
Yep.
It is too easy. Take advantage of these programs. If you come back from a deployment and okay, in 6 months I'm getting out, take those 6 months and start loading up on correspondence courses. Don't go out to the bar every night and get hammered. Take some time.
Or even if you do that, while you're sitting out at the bar, have some introspection and be like, what do I want to fucking
Yes,
do in my
figure
life?
out
Like,
what it is that
do
you
I
wanna
actually
do.
want to be? What do I need to get a degree in? You know what I mean? Like, it's the hard questions in life of adulting but everybody has to do it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, we all have to do this. The key is doing it in a way that makes sense and utilizes all the tools that we have. As veterans, we have a lot of tools available to us. We were talking earlier, all of us are at least 70% disabled veterans or more. We have so many tools.
But even if you're getting disability money, you could be 100% disabled. Don't fucking rely on that. That's not your income.
No, that's
not
extra.
Who you are. That's just some incentive to keep pushing you forward. I mean, as long as your brain is still working, you can make it happen. If you want to do something in your life,
You can
go do it.
Boom. Any last?
Brain never worked.
What if
Dan,
you were
we
a
all know your
Marine
brain
and your
doesn't
brain never worked? Is what Dan is saying.
Then you join the Marines.
What? Who was it? Was it the Scarecrow that didn't have a brain?
Cillian Murphy.
Oh, it was the robot that didn't have a brain, right? Yeah, the Tin Man.
It was Scarecrow.
It was the Scarecrow. That's right. Sorry, that movie was before my time.
Oh wait, I was thinking
Dan
of
probably
the
knows quite a bit
Scarecrow
more
in
about-
Batman.
Nope, totally wrong. Way off, Doc. Thanks.
Whenever you say Scarecrow, I'm just like Cillian Murphy. I'm all about it.
Wow. You guys can't see it right now, but Doc's panties are just...
It is. I'm licking the shit out of my white cloth.
And she's not even wearing panties. She's just wearing my silkies, so I need to
Silkies.
wash
I'm
those.
wearing silkies.
Yeah, you definitely need to wash those. You got to smell, and
Probably like
you
4
gotta smell trail
times.
on your
Yeah.
dining chairs.
We talked about this spot on the couch you shouldn't sit on unless you want to get pregnant. I'm not sitting in that chair unless I want to smell fish. And with that, I think we're going to call it an evening.
Fuck you, first of all.
Okay, say when. Guys, I say
No,
this...
I didn't mean it that way. You're like
Oh,
explaining
wow.
part of the story.
Okay. Wow.
That was not a literal fucking...
Guess I'm ugly.
Okay, so I've been talking about moving in with Brandon for a while. It was always a joke about him having a wet spot on the couch, and I was like, it's going to be so wet that if I sit in it, I'm going to get pregnant. And then he'd be like, it's not mine.
Well, yeah, it's technically not like I didn't fuck you.
I still
DNA
sat in your
wise,
fucking shit that you left on
That's
the
your
couch
fault. That's
for
your fault.
public use.
I told you not to sit on that spot.
Don't come on couches, kids.
Okay, guys, we're going to end this shit show of a 1 hour and 52-minute episode before this gets any more out of hand. And
I feel like it could have gotten so much worse. We talked about like the most
Oh, yeah.
serious shit. We should have just recorded the conversation we were having before
We are...
while we were eating dinner.
If that would have happened, we probably would have been kicked off the air.
Yeah.
And
This is a podcast.
But
we
I
can
feel like
do
it would have
whatever
been
we want.
That's
so
very true.
enjoyable and not super sexist.
Well, maybe next time. Next time Dan's in town. All right, let's get serious for a minute because this is the part of the podcast where I get serious on every episode.
been serious.
Well, let's get even more serious. Okay, guys, I say this on every episode of the Badass American Heroes podcast. If you are a vet out there and you are struggling, reach out. Reach out to a brother, reach out to a sister, reach out to somebody you deployed with. If you think you have nobody and nobody gives a fucking shit about you, reach out to me. The social media links are all in the show notes. I'm going to put them out here right now on Instagram at Badass
You don't
American
even have
Heroes
to be a
Podcast.
veteran. If
No,
you need to fucking reach out to somebody, one of us is always here for you.
If you are going through a dark time, I don't care if you're a veteran or not. I don't care who you are, what you are. I do not give a fuck.
Well, I think this is a good time, too, to bring up mental health. Like,
Absolutely.
mental health is absolutely underrated, but it's such a detrimental part of, like, who people are. And a lot of people are afraid to utilize mental health services.
Yes, you know, and especially for people in combat MOSs like we were in, there is a stigma out there. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what your chain of command says. I don't give a fuck what your squad leader says or your platoon leader or whoever. Go out there and get the help that you need. So if you want to reach out, if you feel like you have nobody else, my phone is on 24/7. I get these notification, guys. I promise you.
I guarantee you can find me through Brandon's social media.
So on Instagram, it's at Badass American Heroes Podcast. On Facebook, just pop in there and search Badass American Heroes Podcast. You can email me, Badass American Heroes Podcast at Yahoo or at gmail.com. Both of those are active. I get these notifications. I'm active on there, guys. Send me a DM. I will do everything in my power to get you linked up with the help that you need. I do not care. I don't care if you're a veteran. I don't care if you're not a veteran. I don't care if you're a fucking combat MOS or not. I do not care. The goal of this podcast and every show that I release is to help you guys understand that you're not alone. The goal of this podcast is to bridge the gap between veterans and civilians and to help all of us live better lives and understand each other a little bit more, because that's what makes us successful. We are all a team. It doesn't matter if you served, if you didn't serve, if you served 4 years or 40 years. I don't care. Nobody else cares. We're all one race. That's the human race. We all care about each other. We all love each other. And a little bit more of that makes the world a better place. So if you are in need, reach out. I will do everything in my power to get you the help that you need. If you're not in it yet, go to Facebook, join Drinkin' Bros. Just pop into the search bar, search Drinkin' Bros. You'll find the national page. It's over 100,000 members strong. There is a Drinkin' Bros chapter in every state and in most big cities across the world. Drinkin' Bros Washington is an awesome group. If you're local to me here in Washington State, join the group. We do meetups all the time. We just had one last night with Dan and Ashley in Tacoma. Guys, there are people out there that love you, care about you. We need you in our lives. And I say this on every fucking episode of this podcast. Nobody is going to take care of veterans like other veterans. It's not up to the government. It's not up to civilians. It is up to us. We are our brothers and sisters keepers. So, reach out to your buddies. Go back through that contact list. Go back through that alert roster and call and text your buddies and be like, hey, man, it's been a minute. How are you doing? You good? How's life?
And
Hit 'em
trust
up.
that if we don't have the resources, we will definitely go out of our way to find them for you.
Yes, we have connections. We know how to get you guys hooked into wherever it is that you need to be. So please, please, please reach out. Dan does a lot of work with Black Rifle Coffee and with Matt and Evan and JT. We've got connections through those guys. We will get you guys whatever it is you need. But our end goal, everyone at this table and everyone that's listening to this podcast, we want you guys to lead happy, successful lives. And that starts with you making a decision to be here. But like we said earlier, survival is just the baseline. After survival, it goes up to being accountable for your actions and for living a good life. Just like I have Dan and Ashley that keep me accountable and make sure that I'm doing the things that I need to be doing in my life. That's my job for you guys. So that's my wish for you as we end the show. I'm going to get off my soapbox and I'm going to let you guys go. Stay tuned. We're going to get into the Badass American Hero of the Week. Dan, Ashley, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight. I know it's late. I've kept you guys up all night. You both have to work tomorrow.
You made us
I
dinner.
don't, because I'm a loser. I did make you dinner.
You did make us dinner. I mean, the only thing that would have been better is if we had sex after. Oh, wait.
It's not too late.
Do I gotta watch?
You're joining in. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All right, guys. Have a good night. Stay tuned. We're going to be back with the Badass American Hero of the Week. Again, Dan, Ashley, thank you guys so much for coming on. We will